Good morning YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr Wargames, and we've got even more reveals from the next brand new set coming out in the OCG, and yes, that is a sushi ship, and it's technically called Suship. And we also have Gizmek support, but this time we've actually got lower level Gizmek support to help enable the deck to become more of a pure deck as well. So let's continue to go through and see what we have. So the first ones we're going to be going through will be the Gizmeks, and the first one is Gizmek Inaba. It is 50 attack and 50 defense, which is quite strange already, but it is a level 1. Only use this card's second effect once per turn. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one machine monster from your hand whose attack equals its own defense in defense position, which is actually really good for the Gizmek deck, because there are some times when you play the bigger Gizmek monsters and they're not viable in the current matchup. The second effect is you can banish this card from the graveyard, then target one machine monster you control whose attack equals its own defense. For the rest of this turn, you cannot declare an attack except with that monster. Also, its attack and defense become the total original attack of all machine monsters you currently control whose attack equals their own defense. So basically, it just allows you to beef up one of your Gizmeks. And then we've got Gizmek Naganaki. It is 950 attack, 950 defense, level 2. Only uses cards first and second effect once per turn. Something to note quickly about the Inaba, because the first effect isn't a hard once per turn, technically, if you were to play something like double summon and you summon this twice, you could special summon another one, which is kind of cool. You can tribute one machine monster whose attack equals its own defense, special on one machine monster from your deck whose attack equals its defense but with a lower level than the tributed monster. So that probably explains why the level 1 isn't on special summon, because then you could technically just tribute this, special out the level 1, and then the level 1 will then special another one from the hand. You can banish this card from the graveyard, add one of your face down banished machine monsters whose attack equals its own defense. So it's kind of nice that it lets you add a face down specifically, because then that allows you to recur your resource off of Gizmek Orochi. And then we've got Gizmek Tanguku. It is Earth, level 3, 1450 attack, 1450 defense. You can only use the first and second effects once per turn. If this card is normal or specialed, you can place one machine monster from your deck whose original attack equals its own defense on top of the deck. You can manage this card from your graveyard, then target one machine monster in your graveyard whose attack equals its own defense and special summon it in defense position. That's kind of cool. And that's the level 3, and then the level 4 is basically like a ball. Like a boar, sorry. So it's Gizmek Ibuki, probably. 1850 attack, 1850 defense. Only use this card's first and second once per turn. If you control a machine monster whose attack equals its own defense, you can special summon this card from the hand. You can banish this card from the graveyard, then target one machine monster you control whose attack equals its own defense, and send one machine monster whose attack equals its own defense but with a lower level than that target from your deck to the graveyard. And if you do, that target gains attack and defense equal to the monster's scent level times 100. See, now the only issue I have with that is the only real Gizmek you kind of want in the grave. I mean, I suppose you can send all the little ones now, but the one that's going to give you the most advantage would be Orochi. But then it means you've got to have a level 9 on board, which is going to be a little bit difficult. They've then got a field spell which is called Gizmek Legend. I actually really like the artwork on this because it looks like a traditional Japanese style like scroll painting, which is really kind of cool. It's called Gizmek Legend. You can only use this card's first effect once per turn. During your main phase, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can add one excavated machine monster whose attack equals its own defense to your hand, and then banish the rest face down. So it's really nice because it gives you ways of getting into. It's kind of like a pot of duality for the deck, but banishing rather than not allowing you to special summon. Each time a machine monster or monsters whose attack equals its own defense is normal or special, you place one counter on this card. Monsters on the field whose attack does not equal its own defense cannot activate their effects while this card has 10 or more counters. Now, that effect is nuts, I understand why it needs to have 10 counters, because if there's any less, this is basically just a one-sided Mystic Mine. Now, I'm not too sure how easy it is to get to 10. I mean, when playing Gizmex, you kind of need to be going second. The only ones that you can pretty much trigger during your turn without your opponent already having stuff would be the Stag, if you've got a monster in the extra monster zone, Orochi, and then Makami, the Fox, to normal summon it. So, you're only ever really going to get 3 on your own turn, in one turn as well. Maybe 2, but you still need your opponent to have some sort of interaction. So to get this to 10 counters, it's actually going to be a little bit difficult, and you're probably not going to get it to 10 counters until maybe turn 3. But to be fair, the excavation effect is just as good, so you're probably going to be playing it for that, and then the counters will become a secondary kind of element. Let's move on to these Suships. So we've got Rice Suship, which is an Aqua Fire, 2000 attack vanilla monster. Now, in a certain Suship port in which I've been interested for a while, there is a rice Suship of which only 2,000 vessels a year are produced, with a self-developed old rice that is not too sticky, with a profound taste that cannot be enjoyed in any other ports, of which many critics have heavily acclaimed. The interior of the harbour is of high status, making one's heart beat with excitement. As for the sought-after Suship, despite the vinegar concentration, grasping technique, and modelling worthy of a craftsman, there was still something that wasn't quite right, wasn't quite there. Thus the store owner speaks, a red vinegar made in Edo font that will add a mellow and rich fragrance will be arriving to the port in the upcoming days. And from hearing that, I'm looking forward to this edition. It is unfortunate that the surrounding sea area was somewhat noisy. It is with great expectations of a future visit that I grading it with 4 stars. I love this, how it's like so the card text of the vanilla is basically a food critic's review of the sushi. I love that. It's so good. And then we've got Row Suship. So the effect version, you can only special on this card this way. It's first effect once per turn. You can only use this second effect once per turn. If you control a Rice Suship, you can special summon this card from the hand. During your main phase, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can add to your hand or special summon 1 excavated Rice Suship. Also, shuffle the rest back into the deck. Now, that's a little bit strange that it can only add specifically the vanilla, and you've got to hit the vanilla off of the top 3 cards. Like, that's a bit extreme. Anyway, XYZ is Dreadnought Suship, so they've got their own Dreadnought. That's sick. 2 level 4 monsters, so it's generic. You can only use this card's first effect once per turn. If this card is XYZ summoned, you can apply these effects based on the monsters used as material. Rice Suship, draw 1 card. Row Suship, this card can make a second attack during each battle phase. Once per turn, when your Suship monster special summon from the extra deck inflicts battle damage to your opponent, type 1 card and destroy it. They control and destroy it. So how are you getting... Oh yeah, it's a level 4. I thought it was a level 2 for some reason. And then I've got a field spell. So Suship Gallery. Once per turn, if you normal or special summon a Suship monster or monsters, even during the damage step, you can place 1 Suship card from your deck on the top of the deck. Okay, cool. That's kind of how you get the excavation successfully. Once per turn, if your Suship monster or monsters special summon from the extra deck is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, your opponent must pay life points equal to its defense. Then you can special summon 1 Rice Suship from your hand, and if you do, immediately after this effect resolves, XYZ summon 1 Suship XYZ monster using only that monster as material. So that's nice because it lets you bypass having to have 2, but then instantly what it allows you to do is bring out the Dreadnought again, and then you'll either get the draw, which is probably what you're going to go for during your opponent's turn, or you're going to get the second attack during each battle phase. Now, keep in mind, I don't believe you can't. The second effect isn't a hard once per turn, so as long as it inflicts battle damage, you can technically pop 2 cards. Keep in mind, do not get too hyped. When a card says your opponent must do something very specific, your opponent is probably going to try to avoid doing that. So they're probably going to try and make Unicorn, they're probably trying to bounce it, they're probably trying to banish it or anything like that. But nonetheless, still a really kind of cool card, I like that. And then the last one is Suship Roll Specials. Normal trap card. When you activate this card, you can reveal 1 Rice Suship in your hand. Reveal 3 Suship monsters from your deck. Your opponent picks 1 for you to add to your hand. Also shuffle the rest into the deck. If you revealed a Rice Suship, when you activate this card, you can choose instead. That's kind of cool. If this card is in your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card, then target 3 Suship monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into deck, and draw 1 card. I really like this archetype. I mean, I love the Gizmeks. I think the Gizmeks are really cool, but I really love these Suships. I'm hoping we're going to get more, because it talks about more Suship monsters, and at the moment we've only technically got 2 main deck monsters, 1 extra deck monster, a field spell and a trap. So I really hope we're going to get more to see this, but I hope this is one of those archetypes which is just like the little common cards, but they're going to be incredibly fun to pick up and play. So yeah, I'm actually stoked to play this as well. This set's actually looking really fun. Really, really fun. So this is the one that comes with the Stardust and comes with the Magic Keys that we saw yesterday. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun little set. I think it's going to be very interesting to kind of see. I don't think there's any like main meta staple cards that we're seeing as of yet. They'll probably get revealed later on. But I still think this is a really cool set that I'm looking forward to building already. And we haven't even got Light and Overdrive yet, so still got to get past that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you do not miss out on any more news drops like this. So you're always at the forefront of all of the brand new cards that get revealed, and of course all of the Yu-Gi-Oh news as it drops. But for now, as absolutely always guys, stay safe and happy dueling.